Hitchhiku, baby, yeah. Hitchhiku, baby, yeah. No hitchhiku, baby, all day long. Woo! Some cars are coming, some.
Do you feel like you go like a devil?
Hmm. 1967. I lived in Durham Road in West Kensington, in a kind of bohemian house, full of artists, musicians, trunks with costumes and pieces of art. One day I was in the upstairs section, above the hallway, when suddenly the door was bashed down, and in rushed a gentleman in a suit. I ran down the stairs and said, "Who are you?" And he flashed this card. "Inspector Ding Dong Bing Bong of Her Majesty's Drug Squad." I said, "What did you want in here?" Now, at that time, I was playing down the UFO Club, which was the center of the alternative consciousness about to be born in England. But I didn't smoke cigarettes, and I certainly didn't smoke dope. So I thought, why has he broken here? But I had heard tales down in UFO of the police planting stuff. So being a wise person, I shouted up the stairs, "Watch they don't plant anything!" And he said, "And which is your room, sir?" So we went upstairs to my room. My wife, who was there, came out, and he leaned over the banister and said, "Bring up the dog, Harry!" So the dog came up, and he said, "This dog was trained to sniff only cannabis, the resin, and the leaves. Let's send him in, shall we?" So it went in. A minute later, it came back with a pair of my wife's Snickers. And she, being a prescient woman, said, "An unusual way to smoke it, Inspector." He, however, did not seem to have had a breadth of humor. He said, "Maybe we should give this dog some assistance then. Let's all go in, shall we?" So he walked over to the chest of drawers, opened it, put in his hand, called the dog over. Dog put its head in, snuffling around quite happily. He got his hand and brought the dog's head over, and then said, "Ah, what have we here?" And there was a brand new piece of resin. And then he went over to the armchair and said, "What shall we find in here? Come on." "Ah, I think we'll take you down to the station, sir." So we went down to the station. I went to see my manager, Kid Lambert, and his partner, Chris Stone. Kid Lambert said, "Arthur, dear boy, you should just plead guilty." I said, "But I'm not guilty." "Yes, that's much simpler. You didn't want any of this trouble." It was before the Jagger trial and everything, so I said, "But I haven't done it. No, I'm not going to do this." So he said, "Oh, right." And we got a lawyer. And so a few weeks later there was the trial. And I arrived for the trial, and as I walked in the room, the chief inspector who had broken down the door, by the way, we find out later he did have a warrant, but it was for a different street. And he came over to me and he said, "Why, thank you, Mr. Brown." I thought, "Whatever for?" And he said, "This." And I'll get out of the way of that. Oh, yeah, look, you see? This is what they're all raving about. The would-be intellectuals and the arty-farty people are all talking about hippies. Now, we don't know what a hippie is, or we didn't, until we saw this. And this man, with his free expression group, went down to a wild party in London, which we may see coming up. Maybe not. Yes, that, by the way, has removed the attention from right next to where my photo was a man who was arrested for sexual offences against chickens. I didn't know why they put me right next to that, but I'm sure they had a good reason. Now, we see here semi-naked people rolling around. Disgusting, decadent, and plain daft was how they assessed it. If you wouldn't allow your daughter to go to this, score 10 out of 10. It was actually, this is the Exploding Galaxy dance group at UFO. But they said it was a private party of a most disgusting sort. Well, it did look bad. And the judge decided to remand the trial. And so we came back some time later, and strangely enough, the police reversed all their testimony. They said, "Oh, well, this was a lodging house, you know, and it could have been anybody who left it there, especially as the resin we found was really old and crumbly, which is totally misrepresenting the beautiful piece of new resin that was it." And so I was excused. I had to pay my costs for not doing what I didn't do, which I thought was very good. And I went to see Kit Lambert. I said, "Kit, it's extraordinary that they reversed their testimony." And he took out his wallet, which was full of notes, and he flicked through and said, "It does happen, you know, Arthur." They were well connected with the New York mafia and knew how to deal with such things. So, yes, that was my experience of English justice. At a time when actually the government were already against the idea that maybe there was a different basis for society, not the one that we have now, which is kind of making every, 10% of the population very, very rich, and the rest of us, 1%. 1% has, something like 70% of the wealth. Yeah? Are you one of those? Can I borrow anything from you? Probably not.
I'm one of the 3%.
Oh, yeah. But to get back to my hitchhiking days, when I got to the house in Hamburg, my sporting-bodied girlfriend did indeed open the door, but she was with my best friend at school, who was rugby captain, cricket captain, rather strong, handsome, about to go to Oxford, and, come to think of it, still owes me 30 quid. Not that I hold it against him. But that really kind of shattered me, left me a bit desperate. And they did sort of behave very nicely to me, and she said, "Oh, I think it's unbelievable that you travelled all this way without bus or train. I mean, it's just... But it didn't make me feel any better. So as soon as I could, I made my excuses, walked away into Hamburg, which I didn't know at all. I was walking down the streets, and in about 2.5 hours I passed maybe 3 people. And I got very angry about it. Except that my father's advice came to me, and he said, oh, just put aside all those kind of thoughts. Go to the place where I cannot go, where there's just peace. So I kind of got a bit towards that, and then found that the moon had come up, and I was standing at the gates of a park. So I walked into the park, and I finally found a bench. I thought, well, I'll lie down on the bench and go to sleep. And I lay down, but waves of my own worthlessness started to pass over me. My despair, my lost love, I was a failure. Yes. And I kind of passed into a kind of coma. And I must have fallen asleep, because next thing I woke up and there was a change in the air. There was kind of a new electricity, and there was slowly some light coming over the horizon. And out of the darkness, shadows turned into solid objects, and there was trees, and a little house over there. Yes, and gates and hedges. And then there was the plants all around me. And then I noticed that the sun was just about to come up, and I could see the drops of dew on all the leaves. And when the sun came up, suddenly there was this radiance all around me. And there was a radiance inside. And in that radiance, the dancing goddess comes. Flow of her movements, she embraces all potent power and simultaneously gives birth to everything. Well done, my dancing damsel darling. You shine. You are the self of all creatures. Love is your home. It is your breath. How close life is in your laughter. How your breasts become a cradle for all the starving and hungry. Your lips are a refuge for all those betrayed by their dreams. Clowns, devils, and angels dance on your thighs. Murderers and midwives sway in your hips. The groans and cries of your loving are the birthing of worlds. yourself. Your kiss is the spirit invigorating the flesh. How beautiful you are. Hold fast to the center whilst letting go, and I shall die.